I found the tape at my uncle's estate sale, tucked inside a showbox with old receipts and rubber bands that had fossilized into crusty circles. The cassette itself was unmarked except for a strip of masking tape on the front with 3 words written in shaky handwriting, "Do not play." My uncle had been a sound engineer in the 70s, worked for some studios that don't exist anymore, so I figured it was probably just a bad recording session or something embarrassing. I should have listened to the warning. I don't even own a tape player anymore, but my car's old enough to have one. That's where I first played it, driving home on Route 9 just after sunset. The sky had that bruised quality it gets in October, purple and sickly yellow at the edges. I slid the tape in and pressed play, expecting music or maybe someone's voice. Instead, I got silence. Not empty silence, but the kind that feels full, like the air before a thunderstorm. Then came the breathing, slow and wet, like someone with fluid in their lungs trying to draw air through a straw. It went on for maybe 30 seconds before a voice broke through, so quiet I had to turn the volume all the way up. The voice was saying numbers, just numbers, no pattern I could recognize. 18, 4, 23, 91. The breathing continued underneath, steady and awful. I should have turned it off right then. Instead, I kept driving, kept listening. The numbers stopped and there was a sound like furniture being dragged across a floor. Then crying, a woman crying, but trying to stay quiet, like she didn't want someone to hear her. My hands got cold on the steering wheel, something about the crying made my stomach clench. A man's voice cut through the crying. He wasn't talking to the woman, he was talking to someone else, someone who must have been behind the microphone. He said, "Are we getting this? We need to get this." His voice had this excited quality that made my skin crawl. The woman's crying got louder, more desperate, and then it just stopped. Not faded out, just stopped like someone had flipped a switch. More silence, more breathing. Then music started playing, this old jazz song I recognized from my grandmother's records. It played for maybe 10 seconds before it started skipping, the same phrase over and over. Under the skipping music, I heard footsteps. They were coming closer to whatever microphone was recording, closer and closer. Then they stopped. Someone whispered directly into the microphone. I couldn't make out the words, but the whisper raised every hair on my arms. It sounded wrong, like the person's mouth was too full or their tongue was too thick. The whisper went on for a long time, urgent and wet. I realized I'd been holding my breath. I pulled over into a gas station parking lot. My hands were shaking. The tape was still playing, now just static with occasional pops and clicks. I was about to eject it when I heard my name. Clear as day, a voice said my name. My actual name, the one only family uses, not the nickname everyone calls me. I sat there staring at the tape deck, my heart slamming against my ribs. The voice said my name again, then laughed. It was a child's laugh, high and delighted, but there was something off about it. The pitch wavered like a corrupted audio file. I punched the eject button, but nothing happened. I punched it again, harder. The tape kept playing. The child's laugh got louder, more distorted, until it didn't sound like laughter anymore, but like screaming. I yanked the tape out manually, ripping the ribbon in the process. Brown tape spooled out like guts. The screaming stopped. I sat there in my car under the fluorescent lights of the gas station, breathing hard, watching the ruined tape in my hands. My uncle's handwriting on the label seemed darker now, more urgent. Do not play. Yeah, no shit. I threw the tape in the gas station trash can and drove home with the radio off. The silence in the car felt safer than any music. When I got home, I poured myself a drink and tried to rationalize what I'd heard. It was a recording, obviously, some kind of sound effects compilation or experimental audio project. The voice saying my name was a coincidence, or I'd imagined it. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. We hear what we expect to hear. That night I dreamed about a basement room with concrete walls and a single microphone on a stand in the center. The microphone was old, the kind you see in pictures from the 40s. A tape recorder sat beside it, reels turning slowly. I walked closer in the dream and saw the tape ribbon was red, not colored red, but wet with something. Red. The reels kept turning and the ribbon kept feeding through, leaving small drops on the concrete floor. I woke up at 3:17 in the morning to my phone ringing, unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Same unknown number. I answered it without thinking, still half asleep. All I heard was breathing on the other end. slow and wet, exactly like the breathing on the tape. I hung up and turned my phone off. In the morning, I told myself it was a coincidence. Spam calls happen all the time. I went to work, did my job, came home, everything normal. But that night, I heard something outside my bedroom window, footsteps in the leaves, slow and deliberate. I live on the second floor. There's nothing outside my window but a straight drop to the ground. I didn't go to the window. I turned on all the lights in my apartment and turned the TV up loud. Around midnight, my laptop started playing audio on its own. I'd left it open on the coffee table, sleeping. The screen was still dark, but sound was coming from the speakers, that same jazz song from the tape, skipping in the exact same place. I slammed the laptop shut and unplugged it. My hands were shaking again. This wasn't coincidence anymore. Something was wrong, really wrong, and it had started when I played that tape. I needed to know what was on it, what my uncle had recorded or collected or stumbled onto. I needed answers. The problem was I'd thrown the tape away at a gas station 2 towns over. I drove back the next morning. I told my boss I had a dentist appointment and headed out to Route 9, retracing my drive from 2 nights before. The gas station looked different in daylight, smaller and more run down. The trash can where I'd thrown the tape was empty. Collection day must have been yesterday. My chest got tight with something like panic. The clerk inside was a kid, maybe 19, with eyes that suggested he was stoned. I asked him about the trash collection. He confirmed they'd emptied all the cans yesterday afternoon. I asked if anyone had been digging through the trash before then. He looked at me like I was crazy and said no, but then he paused and said actually, yeah, there'd been this older guy asking about trash too, said he was looking for something his nephew had thrown away by mistake. My uncle had been dead for 3 weeks. I'd been to his funeral. I'd seen him in the casket, gray and smaller than he'd been in life. The clerk saw my expression and asked if I was okay. I wasn't okay. I asked him to describe the man. He said older, maybe 60, with thin white hair and thick glasses, wearing a brown jacket. That was exactly what my uncle had been buried in. I got back in my car and gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. This wasn't happening. Dead people don't look for tapes at gas stations. I was stressed, sleep-deprived, experiencing some kind of breakdown that made more sense than the alternative. I needed to go home, take something to help me sleep, and forget about all of this. But I didn't go home. I went to my uncle's house. The estate sale was over, but the house hadn't sold yet. I still had a key from when I used to check on him before he died. The place was mostly empty now, picked clean by bargain hunters and distant relatives. My footsteps echoed on the hardwood floors. I didn't know what I was looking for until I found it. The basement door was open. I'd never been in my uncle's basement. He'd always kept it locked, said there was black mold down there and it wasn't safe. But now the door stood open and the light was on. Someone had been here recently. The basement stairs were steep and narrow, the kind that feel like they're leaning forward, trying to tip you down into the dark. The basement was cleaner than I expected. No mold, no water damage, just concrete walls and a concrete floor and a single room at the far end with a heavy wooden door. The door was closed but not locked. I could hear something on the other side, something like breathing, slow and wet and horribly familiar. My body wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at me to get back up those stairs and out of that house and never come back. But my hand reached for the doorknob anyway. The metal was cold enough to hurt. I turned it and pushed the door open. The room was exactly like my dream. Concrete walls, nothing else except a microphone on a stand in the center. An old reel-to-reel recorder sat beside it. The reels were turning slowly, feeding tape from one side to the other, but there was no tape loaded in the machine. The reels were turning empty air. I walked closer. The breathing sound was coming from the microphone, even though nothing was connected to it. The microphone wasn't plugged in. It was just standing there, a dead piece of equipment producing sound that shouldn't exist. I bent down to look at the reel-to-reel and saw something that made my vision tunnel. The recorder was on, but it wasn't in playback mode. It was recording. The counter was ticking up, marking time. Recording what? There was nothing to record, just me standing in an empty basement room with equipment that shouldn't work. That's when I saw the labels on the wall behind the recorder. Dozens of strips of masking tape stuck directly to the concrete. Each one had a name written in my uncle's handwriting. I recognized some of them. Relatives, family, friends, people I'd known growing up. Some of the labels had dates next to them. I found my cousin Sarah's name with a date from 2 years ago. She'd died in a car accident 2 years ago. My name was there too, at the end of the row. No date next to it yet. Just my name in that shaky handwriting. Fresh masking tape. The adhesive still glossy. I reached out to touch it, and the breathing from the microphone got louder, more excited. The reel-to-reel spun faster, the counter ticking up rapidly. I ran up the stairs, through the empty house, out to my car. I didn't look back. I drove home 20 miles over the speed limit and didn't stop shaking until I was inside my apartment with every door locked. That was 4 days ago. Since then, the breathing follows me everywhere. I hear it in quiet rooms, in the space between songs on the radio, in the white noise of running water. My phone rings at 3:17 every morning, always an unknown number, always just breathing on the other end. I've stopped answering, but I can't stop hearing it. Last night I found a cassette tape on my doorstep. No packaging, just the tape itself with a strip of masking tape on the front. My name written in that familiar handwriting. I haven't played it yet. I don't want to know what's on it, but it's sitting on my coffee table right now, and I can hear it from across the room. It's breathing. The tape is breathing, even though it's not in a player. The sound is faint, but it's there, slow and wet and patient. I think it's waiting for me to play it. Or maybe it's already playing, has been playing since the moment I touched that first tape at the estate sale. Maybe I'm already on the recording, have been this whole time. The worst part is I want to play it. Despite everything, despite the fear and the wrongness of it all, part of me needs to know what's on that tape. What my uncle recorded or captured or summoned in that basement room. What I sound like on the recording that's been making itself since I opened that door. My hand keeps reaching for the tape. I pull it back, but it keeps reaching, like it's not entirely under my control anymore. Like something's pulling the strings now, something that speaks in wet whispers and knows my name. The tape is still breathing. I can hear it under my thoughts, under my heartbeat, under everything. I think I'm going to play it. I think I have too. The breathing is getting louder and my name is written on the label, and maybe this was always going to happen. Maybe from the moment I saw that first tape with its warning label, this ending was already recorded, already spinning on those empty reels in that basement room. The tape is in my hands now. I don't remember picking it up, but here it is, warm like it's alive. My car is the only place I can play it. I'm walking to my car now. It's 3:17 in the morning and my phone is ringing, but I'm not going to answer. I'm going to get in my car and slide this tape into the deck and press play, and whatever happens after that, whatever I hear or become or understand, will already be on the recording, has always been on the recording, will always be on the recording. The reels are turning. They never stop turning. Someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to know that some tapes should never be played but will be played anyway because we can't help ourselves. We hear the warning and we play them anyway. And then we become the warning for whoever finds our tape next. Do not play, but you will. You always will. I'm sitting in my car now. The tape is in the deck. My finger is on the play button. The breathing is so loud now I can't hear anything else. I'm pressing play. I'm pressing.